fun +1s coming to him. We haven't teased too much, so
Yeah, I have like this whole. I was writing them all down. I'm like, oh geez, there's a lot that has changed with this guy.
yeah. So and Pom Pom's already in chat spoiling.
I know,
that,
right?
There's a 72 segment targeter for all of his. No, that's it. Pon is trolling. We do have a lot of. But a lot of fun stuff to go through today.
Yeah,
a lot of fun stuff.
Sweet. Well, not only Sun Wukong, but a lot of other content in the update as well. But without further ado, let's just hop into the star of the show and talk about
let's do it.
Show
Sun
me.
Wukong in Smite 2. He is looking really clean, clumsy. Before we get into the kit, talk about the process about bringing the Monkey King into Smite 2.
Yeah, I mean, Sun Wukong is one of those like classic warriors where I think whenever see the polls in Reddit or whatever it may be, it's like Sun Wukong's got to be there. Like Sun Wukong's got to be coming. So we knew we had to do him justice. And one of the things that's like, it was an expectation that we didn't even almost think about at first. That we started seeing more and more as data mining and other things started showing Sun Wukong is coming up closer and closer. It's like, well, yeah, he's got this Jingu Bang. He's got this legendary staff. So let's make sure we utilize it a little bit more. Ooh,
Yeah,
so we're
looks
gonna be
really
talking about that just a little bit. We didn't want to go too crazy, but otherwise, yeah, I think wanting to make sure that all of his transformations, all 72 of them,
Oh yeah, I know,
all three
right?
of them
That
felt good.
targeter.
Yeah. We had some more, meanings to his clones. We wanted to make sure that he just felt good with all the different aspects of his kits that were already there.
You can't use that word. It's a
I
reserved
know.
word.
It's a reserved word now. All the components, all the facets.
Sweet. Well, let's get right into the kit, and we should start with the
Show it.
passive. Undefeated
Yeah.
body, clumsy. Let's talk about the passive. I'm not gonna hover it because I want to see the surprise that we talk about.
I mean,
the first part of the passive, pretty similar to Smite 1. If you drop below that
Yep.
60% health threshold, you're gonna be getting a buff to your strength, intelligence, and protections.
So that's right. So that is the new thing there, and we can confirm that Sun Wukong is going to be a hybrid warrior with intelligence scaling. So that is confirmed, and he's going to be getting intelligence, which is new because he never used to get magical power in Smite 1. So that's the first component that's new, is that you have the added intelligence to that buff. Now one might argue that that's not very spicy for the passive. Why don't we add a little bit more? All right, okay, fine. You get a little bit more.
This is a clumsy god. There's a lot of spice. That's the way it goes.
All right. Sometimes. So now, because we wanted to play on with that threshold mechanic,
Yeah.
you get below 60%, you get this buff. Also, if you go above 60%, the buff persists for a short duration,
Yep.
just like it would in Smite 1. But the other thing that happens is if you're below 30% health, there's now a new effect. That new effect is, let's play around with what we talked about. Let's play around with what he has. He summons a clone. So now, not only is he going to have his clone coming in with his fourth ability, but he's also going to be spawning in a clone on a cooldown, as you can see in the passive meter, once you get below 30% health. That being said, because you're going to be on low health, unlike the ulti, that clone's going to be coming in with low health.
Yes.
But that's okay, because it's kind of just like an extra component to the kit. We're not doing the whole Don Zabura arc here
Right.
with a lot more clones. He has a max of 2 clones.
It's a clumsy god. There's got to be clones,
There's
you know?
gotta be clones. There's got to be more abilities because there's got to be clones, right?
Exactly,
Okay,
yeah.
but something.
So he
new
gets
that
a clone.
someone knows to come up with the clones is that they inherit your health, they inherit your protections, they inherit your power, but they'll power being both strength and intelligence. That being said, they'll only do 50% of your damage. Now, I'm not saying they're doing 50% of your basic attack damage, because what's new here as well is that all of your clones, so whenever I say clones, we're talking about the ultimate clones, but also the passive clones, because now there's 2, they will also be able to use your first and second
Yes.
abilities when you use those
If you have a
abilities.
clone out and you fire the
yo.
magic cudgel, the clone will also fire the magic cudgel.
So when you use
Exactly.
your
And same
one,
thing for
your
Master Sword.
clones
It will
use
not
the
follow
1,
the
2?
72 transformations, but it will be able to do his 1 and his 2 abilities.
Yeah.
So that includes both. So if you've got both clones, because you can have 2 out at the same time,
Yep.
they will both use that. So you'll see 3 different cudgels going out. You'll see 3 different
Show an example.
circles going out. Now
Show
the
it.
circumstances for this actually happening, aren't
Show an example.
That, often, right? I think the ultimate one is going to be the one that happens the most often. And it's a little bit more controlled in that sense.
I
But
was
yeah.
I was in a
Show an
playtest the
example.
other day.
Do it.
And somebody
Show an
whoever was
example.
playing Sun Wukong had 2 clones out, and I was like, oh, there was a bug. There were 2 clones, and you were like, no, that's intended. I was like, wait, what?
So go ahead and use your 1 here. There it is.
And
go
then
ahead
use
and
your
2.
2.
So it'll do it obviously as fast as it can. If it's in his in-hand chain, it might wait till the next one, but it's pretty seamless.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's pretty quickly. The targeting for the clones is just basically whoever they're already aggroed upon.
Yeah.
There's no extra pet targeting or anything like that. Wherever they're going to be aiming is where those abilities are going.
So you
off.
could get one that spawns at
that works
30%
next to
health,
prop
and
items.
then you could ult and
They
get
should
another
not
one,
prop
and then you
items.
could one, and
Very good
both your
question.
clones
That is
are
a
out
good
of one
question.
too.
Yeah.
They should
Somebody's
not
like,
be
I
broken
gotta
items.
go back to my desk and
Yeah,
check
I'm
that
gonna.
after
I
the
will.
show.
Can we make a note of that real quick?
So 50% of the damage that you would have dealt with no additional procs.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you have 2 of them, that's gonna equal the
so with his
100%.
basic attacks or with his abilities, they're going to be doing that reduced damage.
Sweet. Well, that was a passive.
That was passive.
A lot there.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. But for the passive, it's a super small last clarification is that all clones will still die to hard CC as they would in Smite 1,
Yeah.
outside of knockbacks / knockups and banishes. So, if you try and Geb Shockwave the clones, they will not be killed, but if you do hard CC, if you stun them, they will be instantly killed.
Yes. All right, and how about we talk
No,
about
clone
the
doesn't do
one
the
and
three,
the
just
two
the one and
kind
the
of
two.
in conjunction?
Sure.
Because the +1s, they're a little bit similar. So
Yeah, they're basically the same. One quick note on the first ability itself, the Magic Cudgel, is that this ability had extra damage to minions in jungle camps specifically in Smite 1, but we decided not to do that as we chose for certain other gods as well, and it's just going to be baked in a little bit into his first ability as well. So that damage is a little bit higher, especially on the base damage, but not to the point where it would have been doing too much more. And you're going to see a little bit of that kind of reflected back in the balance throughout the kit, because he's technically gaining damages in places, but he's also losing damage in places.
Correct.
And that kind of goes into the spicing of the 1 and the 2.
So I'll fire the one close first. 174 damage. Now, 177, 75.
Yeah.
So you're getting a little bit more damage for the farther that you're away.
So there's
some extra stuff
some
here.
notes here. So there's two main notes, because it's not generally as simple as you're doing more damage when you're further away. Like we said, there is intelligent scaling on Sun Wukong. And the way this works is primarily, and the most unique thing, and I'm probably going to start with that first so that we don't get people kind of lost in the sauce, because that'll be in the second bullet point, is if you get intelligence, your first and second abilities will actually grow in size.
Yes.
That's the most exciting part. So we talked about how, the expectation was there, but then we had to make sure to fulfill it. And we also wanted to, it just makes sense. It's what the staff does, and we think that's really cool.
You heard correctly, chat. The staff will get longer.
Should I just go back and buy a bunch of mint?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way this will work is that your staff will grow with your first and second abilities only, up to a 50% increase in size, around just about 1.5x, capping out at 500 intelligence. So if you get 500, that's all that you're going to need. That'll be the highest. I mean, I don't think any of us are really expecting you guys to go full int builds, but it is possible. And then that way, your 1 and your 2 are just that much longer.
Your 2 is
so
so much bigger.
That's the super exciting part. That's kind of what we wanted to make sure we got in, because that'd be the fun thing to do. There's a little bit more bullet points on the intelligence.
That's so
scaling.
long.
That is, it's 50% increased.
That's insane. And look, it's like the whole lane with his E. Or his 2. I said E because it's E on the screen. You're trolling me.
I know,
your
sorry. my weird keybinds.
So 50% increase. Remember, that's only if you go intelligence. If you're going strength, you're getting none of that range increase. But if you're going a hybrid, then you're getting a little bit of that, right? And then you've got your passive as well, which kind of plays into that too. So the way the scaling works, though, because this is the little bit more, I mean, Flairbeard's going to go ahead and pull out the sheets about how I did the math wrong, and that's okay. But the idea is these 2 bullet points here, and it's going to be the same thing for the first ability and the second ability. And the way this works is your strength scaling specifically, so that 60% strength starts at the full amount, but as soon as you get to half the range, it starts decreasing from 100% scaling, so that's 60%, to 50% scaling at max range. So if you go, if you're hitting an enemy at full max range of your 1, you're doing 30% strength scaling. The base damage is not affected at all. So the further and further the enemy is, the less and less strength scaling. Again, there's the ceiling and the floor, so you're never doing 0. And this only kicks in at half the range. But it's the inverse for intelligence scaling. So the further and further away the enemy is, the more int scaling you have, from 100% scaling down to 50%. And again, that's of the intelligence scaling. So you're going to be doing 75% intelligence scaling at max range, which is why you saw that damage increasing. But as soon as you get to 50% of the range of that ability, it will decrease to half of the 75%.
So maybe we can show just exactly that now that we have a bunch of int on this. Like at max range, how much damage are we dealing?
Let's see.
So 438 or something, and close it's 299. So it's a pretty big difference.
Even if you're at 50% of range, it should be that exact same number. So it'll be scaling from that amount. So the further and further away you go, the more and more you're benefiting from this int playstyle of poking enemies from far away. The closer and closer the enemies are, the more and more you're benefiting from strength. If you want to go hybrid, you can kind of play around with both of those things.
Chat says Clumsy tries to keep a god simple challenge impossible.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. This
man.
is simple.
And then Master's Will is similar, but it plays around with the radius of the ability.
Yes,
and
exactly.
specifically for enemies that are close closer or farther away to like the center, right?
Yep, and it'll be the exact same functionality of the further and further away. You go scaling the strength from 100% to 50%, and that's just of whatever values you see there.
Yeah.
So yeah, easy peasy, right?
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah, and obviously, one of the reasons why we did like that is just we have a lot more flexibility with how we want to balance that. We can obviously change those floors and those ceilings. We can make sure this feels, stronger or weaker based on inter strength and the various amounts.
And I think it keeps them both pretty viable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweet. So, shall we talk about all 72 transformations?
We're through like the majority of all the craziness on this one. Yeah, I mean, I don't even think there's necessarily anything new specifically. The 72 transformations works exactly the way you'd expect, where you've got your 3 different forms, and it's dependent and locked in based on how far away you're targeting in your camera is on that side. So you'll have your ox form at close range, your tiger form in mid range, your eagle, which is the fastest form in the long range. The only thing that's really been changed here is a little bit of consolidation and simplification of the immunities. So slow and root immunity were added to the tiger form because it was the only one that was missing those. So all 3 now have slow immunity and root immunity. Cool. However, ox form also has that knock immunity from Smite 1 as well. So it's just making sure that like it wasn't the most complicated thing in the world to know even how to play as Sun Wukong or play against Sun Wukong. It was a little bit confusing.
Is this the first time we've seen a God's Kit change based on int or physical?
The ox has that knockback immunity as well.
Yeah, and I love the treatment on the targeter here, where you've got like the 3 different colors.
I mean, like the size of the ability changing. Yeah,
looks really sick.
Yeah, I can't talk about anything to do with Huyi.
Lock's ability might have been one of the most like technically challenged ones that me and like programming were working together, specifically in terms of animations. Like Geb's one was also a lot working with that one, but getting the animations working correctly, making sure that they swapped at the right timings, like much appreciation to tech art, anims, and programming as well to make sure that this felt smooth. Yeah, because there's so many different caveats going on, and when your animations were triggering, and yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Sweet. All right. Last up, the ultimate. Let's talk about Somersault Cloud, shall we?
Yeah, sweet. So Somersault Cloud. Again, generally working the exact way you'd expect. The main thing that's changed there is the tick speed of the healing was actually increased in frequency or reduced in how the rate, so that you're actually getting healing a little bit faster. That being said, the healing is reduced so that it's around the same. It's a tiny bit higher, but you're also getting a little bit of intelligence scaling as well. Yeah. So that way, if you build ints, not only are you getting the different changes on the 1 and the 2, but you're also getting a tiny bit more healing on the ulti as well.
Sweet.
Obviously, it's going to be spawning that clone.
I'm going to do the fun thing. I'm going to spawn a clone with my passive.
Yep.
Then ultimate, get 2 clones.
Yeah, you're still gonna get the clone as usual. You're still gonna get that stealth effect, so the enemies won't know where you are. But yeah, so you will obviously need to jump down if you want to have both clones do the things. Yeah, you can see them. They're both targeting in 2 different directions. You can see them do 2 different things.
Oh, we're doing damage.
If you've got 2 clones, then technically you're building back up from that 50% reduction to 100%. So, like I said, technically he's lost a little bit of damage in certain places, but he's gained a little bit of damage in other ones. So hopefully, all in all, it feels pretty good. Again, there is a cooldown on that 30% threshold, so you can't keep bouncing between it. Also, one extra note there is you are stealthed when you go into this ability. But the stealth caveat, which we realized towards the end, was like, oh, your clone dies, which reveals you from stealth. But what if you have a clone from your passive? Then what does that mean?
That's good. Yeah.
The new caveat is if all of your clones are killed while in your ultimate, because on the chance that you do ultimate when you're low, it requires both of those ones to be dead. So if there are no clones remaining, you are then revealed from their stealth.
Nice, sick. Well, that is all.
I think that's quite literally
for Sun Wukong. Anything that we missed for base Sun Wukong?
Just the super last bullet points, because we're gonna be talking. We're talking about the aspect.
Yeah, we're talking. Of course, we're talking about the aspect. It'll matter for the base kit
and for the aspect too. Because there's probably gonna be some people asking. The clones do not change their scaling of their abilities. Like, this doesn't change the length of those abilities or gain any bonus effects. From your kit. So if you have loads of ints, they'll probably still have the same exact ability ranges and ability radiuses.
Gotcha.
And that'll matter a bit more once we get to the aspects.
Sweet. Sounds good. Well, let me go ahead and turn on the aspect. It's test talent. And there we go. All right. Clumsy. Let's talk about the aspect of transformation.
Yeah. Okay. So there's some background to this, but I think we can just talk about what it is first.
Cool, I'll read it. 72 Transformations has a reduced cooldown and locks your animal form until Somersault Cloud is used. Locking in Ox form causes Master's Will to knock up, which is your 2. Tiger form provides stacking attack speed on hits of the magic cudgel, and then eagle form causes your other 2 non-ultimate abilities to have reduced cooldown.
Yeah, so basically, this is aspect of transformation, but it's aspect of like locking you into one transformation for a while. So the idea is once you start the game, whatever first transformation you choose is all you're going to get until you use your ultimate again. So you've chosen your Ox form,
and
you're locked into Ox form, you press that ability, your entire targeter is now that Ox form.
Yeah.
No matter where you go, you're locked in. And
Let's
once
lock
you're
in, brother.
exactly lock in. So once you're locked in, now a different ability for the most part is going to be amplified.
I like
because
changes
you've
like
lost the
this.
flexibility
I don't
of your
always
third
like
ability.
changes
So
with
when you've
aspects
locked
when
into
it's
the
like
Ox form,
this mage
your
is now a
2 will
support
gain
or
the
this
knockout.
support is now
You're
a damage
above 4.
dealer.
Some people are like,
Sometimes
"Oh,
I
you're
like
gonna
it when it's
bring
just
back
like this, where it's like
Summer
this
Kong's
is just a
massive
different
knockout.
way to
It's
play
like, yeah,
this
we technically
character,
are,
not
but
like a
it
whole new
requires
role.
you to lock
Just a
in.
different way to play
And
him,
get the
kind of like
blessing of the
Scylla's. It
Ox.
just
If
it's
you
not
do- if
immediately
you
like,
lock
oh,
in as
she's
a
a tank
tiger, you get the
now.
blessing of the tiger.
Yeah.
Then-
Oh, I killed him. I have too much damage. I can't show the knockoff.
Did you spawn level 20?
Yeah, no, I spawned at level 1.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's
Spawn
what
level
it
20.
was.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
So you do that.
Yeah.
You got the, it's a small knockup. It's not a big knockup. We didn't want these things to feel super OP. To felt making sure that none of these felt mandatory is incredibly important as well. But I'm probably expecting you as like Bruiser Sun Wukong for the first parts of the game to probably see a lot more usage of this.
Yeah.
If you lock into the Tiger form,
So I have to use my
so you have-
ultimate
yeah, use
again.
your ultimate and that'll clear it. And now if you go back and use your 3,
Now I
you
have
got
different-
you got that same things again. Yep. So now if you lock in as the Tiger form, every time you use your magic cudgel, you'll actually gain an attack speed buff. And this works on minions, and you get more stacks off of gods. So you get 2 stacks off of gods, and 1 stack off of minions, up to a cap of actually I can't remember now. I played around with it so much I can't remember what the cap is. 5 or 10. But you can get up to quite a lot. And now
And
you're
I'm
locked
locked
into
into
that Tiger
Tiger,
form until
yeah.
you use your ulti again. The 2 does still slow. The idea is that you're gaining bonus effects on the other abilities because you're losing the flexibility of choosing your actual transformations. So you might be like, oh yeah, all I ever want to do is be an Ox form, but that one time you get ganked and you want to stun someone, you're going to be like, wait, darn it, I'm in Ox form, I don't have that ability to. So that's the trade-off there. Then Eagle form, yeah, you're going to be getting 25% reduced cooldowns on your 1 and your 2.
Which we can't really show
Yeah,
because
I
we have
have
cooldown
cooldown
sheets
sheets
on.
on, yeah.
But
You just gotta trust
imagine.
it.
Yeah,
they're
just
25%
imagine
less
they're
cooldown.
there.
But now you're only
Only
healing, and you don't
5%
have the
cooldown on
damage
1
of
and
the
2 is
CC
kinda
effects
wild.
of using your other.
Ah, yeah, good point.
But you do lose
That being
every
said, someone
that
in-
you
in
lose
chat
damage
said,
on your 3 though,
Eagle's
because that
pretty
doesn't do
darn
damage.
good if you want to go like a long range int poke.
That's
build,
true,
right? Like,
yeah.
Then you're getting even more CDR.
Sweet. Well, I'm super excited for people to hop in. Base of Sun Wukong sounds super fun. Aspect Sun Wukong is super interesting. I love
Yeah,
the
it's a
idea
decent trade-off,
around,
yeah,
like,
I agree.
You choosing
You're
what
losing the
form you wanna play
damage
around
from
and
your
using
3
the
in
other.
exchange for
Other
more
ideas that we
cooldown on
played
your
around
1
with
and
Sun
2. It's
Wukong's
fair.
aspect. Final K had a really cool idea as well that we played around with internally in testing. We just got a lot more bonks of the cudgel, but
Yeah.
that didn't. The balance of that and just the frequency of that didn't end up feeling so good. And then after we kind of churned off that one, Pawn had the really cool idea with the transformations, and we just locked in on that, and we just made it happen.
Yeah.
Yep. And I will say
Shout
because
outs there.
we did churn a little bit on this one, as you said.